Here's something. Do you believe that?
Good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, October 16, 2012 City of Oldsmar Council meeting to order. Our invocation, our pledge will be led by our city attorney, Mr. Tom Trask, and at this time I'd ask you to please join me in rising.
Our Heavenly Father, none of us lives for or because of ourselves. We all live as a part of a community. Help us to work together to build a community that sustains and enhances life. Awaken in us an awareness of how best to raise up our hopes and dreams of the members or residents of the city of Oldsmar. Make our community a place where all can live fully and fruitfully. May those of us who have been selected as leaders within our city remain open to your wisdom. Remind us that the common sense and worldly wisdom that we have been taught sometimes need to be set aside in favor of a holy wisdom, a new way, a different path. In the discussions that take place this evening, open our hearts and minds to sense the wisdom that you have to share. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good evening. It's nice to see so many familiar faces, and it's also nice to see so many new faces. And the new ones, we'd like to welcome you to our City Hall. And thank you for being here today. It's a beautiful October month here in the City of Oldsmar. We like that. And I want to also recognize our Assistant City Clerk, who's filling in for our clerk today. And Ann is at a conference, right?
Correct.
So we have Kathy filling in for her. And welcome you, Kathy.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you sitting on that side instead of over on that side. So. Our first order of business tonight is our Citizens Open Forum, and this gives anybody in the audience an opportunity to address the council if they so desire. We only have a few rules, and the first one is I respectfully ask you to keep your comments to no more than 5 minutes. Second, please don't speak towards anything that's on tonight's agenda, and last, when you come up to the podium, please state your name and your address for the record. And with that said, I know Mr. Walters is here, and he usually goes first for us.
Thank you, Miriam. Jerry Walters, 1108 Potterwood Drive. I do want you to know that I've become of the age of a pacemaker, and that therefore it's going to be a little harder making these meetings like I'd like to. So just so you're aware that when I have something important to say, I'll be here. And that may be every meeting, Jerry.
It has been for the last 20 years.
He retired a couple months ago for a meeting or two.
That's what he said.
Yeah, right. Didn't last long.
Now to the important part of why I'm up here. The Friends of the Library are holding their meet and greet this Saturday, and we think we've got a real good show for everybody in the city as to the nonprofit organizations that are going to be there and presenting themselves, and hopefully we'll be getting a good group of people to see what is good in the city, what they can become a part of. And I do notice we've been getting a lot of new people in the city, unfortunately for one reason or another, and hopefully they are coming in and going to be a real good asset to our city. I also am not going to talk anything about politics, but I do feel that all this money that's being raised, all these signs that are out there, all these TV ads, that sure could go for another better cause, like either schools or work, people finding jobs. And I just wanted to comment on that, whether or not it'll do any good, so that people can either accept it or not. And so saying, I will sit down and be getting up a little shorter, a little later. So I want to get my rest in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walters. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? Yes.
Dan Saraki, 1743 Split Fork Drive. I just want to talk about Rocktoberfest this Thursday night. I'm actually here presenting for Oldsmar Cares. There's going to be a live band. My wife Paul and I will be working the beer tent, and I just want to make sure that everyone is invited, and I hope to see everyone there. Come out for a great concert and help families in our community. That's it. Thank you.
Time and place?
It's at the Tampa Downs Racetrack Road, and it starts at 6 p.m., but there is a chamber meeting at 5:30 if you want to attend that.
All right. Thank you very much, Dan. Does anyone else want to watch us, the council? Yes, Loretta.
We're a duo.
Duos, come on up. We take duos.
You got a duo tonight.
Okay, my name's Tammy Toms, 608 Bayview Boulevard, and I'd like to, we're both here for the Top of the Bay Garden Club, and I wanted to thank Lynn Reeves and the people that have helped keep up the Blue Star Memorial at the Veterans Park. It was looking a little overgrown. We were thinking, oh my gosh, we've got to do some work, and then magically, it was all cleaned up and beautiful, and we want to really thank Mr. Reeves.
We will pass that on to him. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm the second half. Okay. But I have two items, actually. Loretta White, 601 Shore Drive East. In the same line that Tammy was talking about, we're going to have some mulch down there before the Veterans Day. And we'd like to ask a request of you, if you would. You know, a few years ago when we had that move there to the park, we won a national and a state award for that display. And I think it was mentioned once at one of the veterans meetings. We had one of our Federation ladies there, and I think she mentioned it once. But since then, it hasn't been mentioned. So we were going to ask if maybe, I think you usually run the meetings, don't you, Mayor Roniker?
Yes.
We'd like to ask if you would just recognize that it's there. And there's a lot of veterans and probably a lot of residents that don't even know it's there.
Certainly.
And if you could mention it, then maybe they would stop by there and take a look at it. I have some paperwork here on it,
okay.
And I'm going to I'll give you a copy. And one to Bruce, and I'll give one to the city clerk, and she can make a copy for all of you. And there are some facts on there about the Blue Star Marker if you wanted to bring them up or whatever. But just so if you recognized it, I think that would be nice.
I'd be happy to.
People would probably appreciate that. And then when they come next time, they say, oh, we'll go take a look at the Blue Star Marker again. Okay, the second thing I had is a little different. I'm doing a little PR for the election that's coming up November the 6th. This is for the people that got the mail-out ballots. What we're asking you to do, if you will, is that, well, there's three ways you can take care of this. You can either mail it in, it's about 65 cents for the stamp, or you can drop it at a drop location. Now, the Oldsmar Library is the only place in Oldsmar that you can drop it there. You don't have to put the stamp on it if you drop it there. The third place is you can bring it into the polling place when you come if you want to. But we're asking you, and I think Doug went through this at the last one, bring the whole thing with you. The most important part is this outside envelope that has your name and address. Now, if for some reason you throw it away or whatever, try to bring this one, which also has your name and address on the back. It's going to be so much easier for our residents if you do that, because it takes up a lot of time if we have to call the office. That just holds everybody up. So, like I say, the most important part is to bring this. Just bring the whole thing if you decide to come to the polls, which you can do. You can come vote there too. And what I'm not through yet. When we get it at the polls intact, we can write cancel the COSIT, and then you can vote right there at the polls. I'm sorry,
that's what I was going to ask. That's in lieu of you give that, and then you get to vote at the poll.
Right. We're just asking you, if you get it in the mail and you decide to come to the polls, which is your right, as Doug did, just try to bring the whole thing with you. It just makes it so much simpler, it's so much quicker, and we don't have to hold you up on Election Day.
Can I ask you a question? If we take that, is it the same ballot? I mean, it looks the same. I know that all the issues are, but
it's a bigger ballot. It's two pages this time.
Okay, I was asking.
Front and back.
Right. Well, I know, but I'm working through mine with some of the issues at home, and I'm actually filling it out at home. But I may just bring it to the poll, and can I just run it through the machine?
That's perfectly fine, but bring the whole thing with you. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, like I say, especially this part that has your name and address on it.
Got it.
That's going to save you a whole lot of time. And everybody's going to be in a rush that day, and we're going to be real busy. So
I don't mind coming. I just don't want to sit there and read all the. That's what I'm trying to do it ahead of time.
Yeah, and it is a long ballot. I have to remind everybody that it is. And please look on the front and the back of both pages of your ballot. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to address the council? Suda.
Suda Elegantis, Cologne, 402 Arlington Avenue East, Oldsmar. Since we're all going paperless, I'm going to try my notes from my handy-dandy iPhone here. Good evening, Mayor and council members, staff, and the community. I'd like to let council and the community know that the Oldsmar Recreation Dance Program, Miss Suda's Dancers, started up a couple weeks ago. Councilmember Beavis, we're still looking for you to join us one of these days. Yes, right off back in his corner. And we do have room in several of the classes on Wednesdays and Thursday evenings. We're looking forward to our first performance at the upcoming Oldsmar Talent Show in November with our rendition of the animated show Rio, some beautiful birds in Rio de Janeiro, and then on to our holiday recital with Christmas Wonderland in December. I'd also like to remind you to mark your calendars for Friday, November 2nd at the Cypress Forest Rec Center at 7 p.m. is the Oldsmar Talent Show this year, featuring talented youth and adults from the local community. I understand there is still room in the talent show for anyone who would like to come out and join in the fun, and anyone interested in participating can contact the Cypress Forest Rec Center or the City of Oldsmar's website for information. I invite council and the community to join us for this great evening of entertainment and support the local talent from our area. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your support, both for our dancers and for our local talent in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can get Councilmember Beavis to also participate in the talent show.
Yes. My birthday, otherwise I probably would.
Is there anyone else that wants to address the council? No one else? Seeing no one else, we'll close the Citizens Open Forum. Our first item on our agenda, on the council agenda, is our consent docket. Today we've got two items. The first item is to approve payment to legal counsel, and the second item is to approve purchase of sodium hypochlorite. Does anybody wish to question anything or pull anything? Or
nope.
If not, I'll take a motion.
No move.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Under City of Oldsmar, we're going to recognize promotions within the Oldsmar Fire Rescue Department. Is Chief going to do that? We've actually got two chiefs here. We've got the old chief and the new chief. I want to welcome the old chief, too.
Mayor, how old is the old chief?
The old chief? He's not that old.
We were lucky to get him. He's rushing out onto another vacation shortly. So. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Haddock. So far, I'm 3 for 3. I've had a chance to be in front of the City Council 3 times, and it's been for 3 good occasions. Never want to be up here when you're getting grilled. Recently, Oldsmar Fire Rescue had the chance to do a promotional examination to fill a lieutenant's vacancy. Along with that, we had some other folks who had been going to school and who had their jobs and their jobs reclassified and now have a lot more work to do. So I'd like to recognize some of those folks this evening. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about our promotional process. We had a written examination which covered all the policies and procedures for the fire department, for the city, our standard operating procedures for what we do when we go on fire calls that are standard across the lines in Pinellas County, and some other documents, our union contract and those type of things. And then Aaron Gonzalez was lucky enough to help me. He went and set fire to the 3rd floor of one of the hotels in town. Fortunately, we just did that with a computer simulation, but each of the people who were taking our test were required to handle that pretty extensive event. Oldsmar Fire Rescue has not had a promotional assessment since actually, it was 2000, in 2000, and they were able to select a very talented, oh, that was me.
You comedian.
My wife told me I need to work on my self-esteem a little bit. So, I got to tell you, I'm very thankful that during this entire process, we had 4 very talented and very qualified individuals who've worked for the City of Oldsmar for a long time who participated in this process. And I'd like to recognize everybody first. First, Dave Young. Where you at, Dave? Dave, stand up. Tom Brennan. Tom was a volunteer at Oldsmar. And the rest I'm going to have come up here with me. Aaron, Jason, Renee. Aaron Gonzalez is our EMS coordinator, or he was at least until October 1st. October 1st, he assumed the duties of administrative lieutenant, where he's now tasked with not only doing all the EMS coordination duties, but he is now our training officer as well. Jason Schwabe, on the end down there, is going to be promoted to lieutenant in January after Captain Gabardi retires. And tonight, the main event, Miss Renee Neiman, selected to be promoted to lieutenant on October 16th, which was today. Today was her first day, moved to a different shift. I did want to mention one other person, Jamie Flynn. Jamie couldn't be with us tonight. She's a little under the weather and has sick kids, and we told her to stay away. Jamie just spent the last year, a little over a year, finishing paramedic school, which is not an easy thing to do. And she's now certified as a paramedic in the state of Florida. After she finished school, both her clinical instructor and the program director called me personally and said that on the final test, she was amazing in the way she performed in the practical, which is the hardest part of the test. So a little round of applause for Jamie. She's our newest paramedic. One of the things we're going to do is Miss Neiman is now a lieutenant on the A shift, and her husband Dan, her daughter Morgan, and some other family members are here, and we're going to let Renee select someone to pin her badge on her.
Well, I'd like to invite my daughter Morgan and my husband Dan to come up. My sister's here also she just moved from Washington with her daughter Hazel. So welcome them to Florida. I'm pretty humbled by the whole experience. It's been, I've been here 13 years now, and I've learned so much from everyone that I've had the opportunity to work with, and I just hope that I can continue that great level of service that we've provided. And Morgan, would you like to put that?
Now that's what you call intense.
Good job.
Yes, you will. Come on, Scott.
I told them the easy part was getting promoted. The easy part's getting promoted. Now you gotta live up to it. Thanks, sir.
Congratulations, Renee. Very well deserved, and glad you're our lieutenant now. So.
All of them,
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Every one of them. But I think we'll be seeing them again in January when they formally take that position as well. So. Jason, congratulations to you. Aaron, congratulations to you. And Jamie Flynn, we want to congratulate her as well. Hopefully she gets better. Right.
Absolutely.
Now we lose half our audience? No. A fire to put out? Yeah.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
Great turnout for them. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. See how we value our firefighters?
Well, let's hear it for Oldsmar Fire Rescue. All right, next we've got the introduction of Representative James Grant, and I see Representative Grant back there. And Representative, again, welcome to the beautiful city of Oldsmar. It's nice to see you again, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to see you. And members of the council, I appreciate you having me tonight. I just wanted to take a quick minute to kind of respond to the invitation to come speak with you tonight and kind of introduce myself. I think each of you got a letter from my office following redistricting. I knew when I ran for the Florida legislature 2 years ago that I would be representing all of Northwest Hillsborough County for 2 years, and that the redistricting process would dictate a little bit of what my district would look like running for re-election here in 2012. I think by now most of you know that the district that formerly incorporated all of Northwest Hillsborough County now takes a significant portion of Northeast Hillsborough County, and so I'm incredibly humbled and honored. I had a stress-free re-election that I know some of you can appreciate when you don't have opposition, but I'm looking forward to working with each of you, and I'm not sure if there's any particular questions you have tonight about the past legislative session or things coming forward, but I really just want to make sure that both you and the city and the constituents understand that our office is truly committed to public service and making sure that we are your voice in Tallahassee and our community's voice in Tallahassee, and so understanding that the district has changed a little bit and that there's a little bit of a different dynamic sometimes. I go from no cities to having a couple of cities, and so I'm looking forward to developing relationships and working with you as policy is moving in Tallahassee. I tell people all the time that the title of a representative, in my opinion, begins with active listening. If I truly am going to be a voice for our community in Tallahassee, then it's incumbent on me to listen and develop and build relationships with people who are dealing with the very policy that's going to impact all of our lives. And so I have kind of said from day one in my first election, and hopefully maintain commitment to that. I believe I have, that if I'm truly going to be effective in Tallahassee, it starts with relationships, whether it be small business owners that are going to be affected by regulations or policies that are passed in Tallahassee, or our families in our school system, and understanding exactly the responsibility that comes with making those votes. And so I just wanted to take just a minute. I know you've got a kind of a loaded agenda, and I certainly don't want to add to that, but just wanted to thank you again for allowing me to come out.
Thank you for being here. But one quick question for me. What is our new district number?
64.
64, okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hi. Did you bring cards for us?
I will get those to you. I was in meetings in Hardy County all day. I was supposed to be back, so forgive my tardiness by a couple minutes. But if you still have the letter, in my office, I'll be sending a thank you and a card as well. But I'll make sure I get that to you this week.
Thank you, because yes, I need an audience with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm working with Senator Latvala.
Okay.
On the horse slaughterhouse in Tampa. And I need a companion bill.
Okay. Yeah, let's absolutely sit down and talk. I have one request, that you don't ask Senator Latvala any stories, because he has actually known me since I was born. So that's
we're just talking business. This is big stuff.
Yeah, no, I'd love to work with you. And I know that it had a little bit of traction last year, as far as trying to.
It is insane.
Get that moving.
They shoot them. If they're not dead, they start cutting them up anyway.
Keep that with him.
Yeah, he'll get with you.
Well, I want everybody to know what's going on. You know, it's a horrible thing.
The mayor's going to cringe right now, but don't cringe, Mayor. We haven't had a representative for the city of Oldsmar for the last 6 years. We're happy that you're here.
Absolutely.
We're happy that you're going to, we're finally, other than Senator Latvala, we're finally going to get a representative in Tallahassee, because up until now, we haven't had one, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm just about as serious as I can be. Okay?
No, when I saw the original proposed maps, I had talked to a couple of political mentors of mine, and I said, yeah, it's kind of cool for me to take a portion of Oldsmar. I grew up playing hockey at TBSA as a young kid, and so there's a lot of time I've spent out here as a young kid, and I said, you know, it's kind of nice that I pick up part of Pinellas. I'm excited. I have a lot of relationships in Pinellas, and just talking about kind of that crossover, and a man much wiser than me looked at me and said, son, you don't get it. You picked up just enough of the county to take the whole county off. But I am certainly aware of some of the dynamics. I can tell you that
those you aren't aware of, ask the mayor or me, and we'll tell you.
I'm looking forward, and I mean it. I understand that when I stand up here publicly and I tell you that I want to have a relationship and I want to be a resource, and I want to be somebody that you know that when issues matter to our community, that you have somebody that'll go to the mat on those. And so making that commitment comes with it accountability. And so I'm looking forward to making sure that in 6 years when another representative is introducing yourself, you're not saying you haven't had a representative for 12 years.
We will make sure also. And welcome to the city of Oldsmar.
Absolutely.
Beautiful city of Oldsmar.
Yeah.
I'd like to say, and this isn't following necessarily on Vice Mayor Beaverland's point, but I think along those same lines, one of the concerns were when we saw the redistricting was that we proportionately are such a small part of the overall district, and we didn't want to be the ugly redheaded stepchild that doesn't get any attention, because as far as cities goes, I would challenge our city against any city proportionately and population-wise to be any better of a city than the city of Oldsmar.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, not to diminish that point, you're the largest city in my district. So
No. Safety Harbor's larger than us.
What's that?
Safety Harbor's
but I
larger.
don't have all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have the whole thing?
Have all of it.
Let's keep it that way.
Got split up.
Do you have all of Oldsmar?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes. Okay. So it's one of the things that was difficult, and I think it was a challenge for us that had been elected in redistricting, just to maybe give just kind of a 30-second kind of synopsis or understanding of the process we went through. But when Amendments 5 and 6 were put on the ballot, they were effectively the exact same amendments in 2010. They were called fair districts, and they were effectively the exact same district. One just applied at the federal level and one applied at the state level. And the premise of the amendments I wholeheartedly supported. The implementation of them I felt like was going to leave us with exactly kind of the situation we got left with, and I don't know that the execution was probably as sound as it could have been. The challenge that we faced in Tallahassee in going through the redistricting process is the fact that with those constitutional amendments passed, unincorporated areas were literally left on the chop block. And so what ended up happening is a complete focus on keeping as many cities and counties as compact and together as possible. The reason that plays into our district, and to give you kind of an example, if any of you are familiar with the Carrollwood area, it's where I grew up, but Dale Mabry runs right down the middle of Carrollwood, and you have original Carrollwood and you have Carrollwood Village. You would be hard pressed to look anybody in the face in Carrollwood and say that Dale Mabry is somehow a divider between a community rather than kind of the central artery. You would probably have the same difficulty making the same exact case to somebody who lives out here in Eastlake, with one side of Eastlake Road coming into the district that I will now represent, and then the other side maintaining in Representative Nair's district. And so fair districts, although I think very well intentioned, created some challenges in lumping together unincorporated areas. So I end up with a district that is largely made up of unincorporated areas, but then also having to have population sufficient enough to maintain a balanced district, so that our population sizes among our districts is as consistent as possible throughout the state. So that was kind of the underlying dynamic. What that left me with was a lot of people angry in Eastlake and a lot of people angry in Carrollwood, because people, I think very fairly, from the rational outside perspective, thought, fair districts were supposed to mean that our community stayed together, and now the central artery of our community is an arbitrary division, quite frankly, between really the center of the community. And so when those amendments passed, it presented a significant challenge for us in Tallahassee to both comply with those, but also make sure that there was some sort of rationale. And that's before you even factor in the 1965 Voter Rights Acts and minority access districts. So it was an interesting process, to say the least, and it was anything but simple. But I think that's to kind of understand how our district came to be it's necessary to understand kind of that unincorporated versus incorporated distinction, and then drawing that population in.
So did you get west of Dale Mabry?
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody else got east.
Yeah, so what I lost was my parents, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles. Our family's been east of Dale Mabry right there for since 1934. So
but you gained us.
I did.
Yes, you gained us.
So I'm not sure my parents are happy about it, but I'm excited.
It's probably not better to not have them knocking at your door every day.
Well, I don't know that stopped. I think they still consider me their representative. And my dad will remind me of that consistently. So.
Well, again, Representative, we thank you for being here.
I'll stay around for a little while. So,
actually, my city clerk, I got to give this to you. She gave us some goodies for you to take from the city of Oldsmar. So let me give these to you. Good to see you, sir. Likewise, good to see you.
Thanks.
And we certainly look forward to working with you up in the next year.
The know, Mayor, in 1996, the city of Oldsmar.
You never get too far away from the rostrum. I've learned that.
Well, I'm not going to let you. In 1996, the city of Oldsmar won the United States Council of Mayors, one of 5 of the most livable cities under 100,000 in the United States.
Awesome.
And we aren't even big enough to join the United States Council of Mayors.
Well, and to your point, not to dive back in, but I think one of the things, and I think it was Councilmember Beavis. Is it Beavis or Bevis? I hope I'm not butchering Beavis. Okay, I hope I didn't butcher that. When you talk about being the redheaded stepchild, I don't remember which one of y'all it was, but
I am the redheaded stepchild.
Somebody could take my foot out of my mouth. That would be greatly appreciated. So one of the things that I think has really been challenging, and one of the things that I think has been encouraging about the freshman class that got elected, but we had a very large number of new representatives from the Tampa Bay region. And when you look historically at the Florida legislature, when you look back at the pork chop gang in the Panhandle, or you look at the way that Miami-Dade, Miami Broward, and Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, those areas were able to consolidate when it mattered and regionalize in Tallahassee. Quite frankly, they have always historically kicked our tail. And we have really failed as a legislative delegation to understand the gem that the Tampa Bay region is, and to understand that we have an ability to not only recruit fantastic talent, to recruit tremendous businesses, to be a place where startups can come and thrive, but also to brand the region. And so understanding that not everybody wants to pay South Tampa real estate prices, and not everybody necessarily wants to be by the water, but we have that as an asset, right? And just because I don't represent the Port of Tampa or that area, or because I don't represent the strawberry farmers in Plant City, or my colleagues don't represent the city of Oldsmar, I think we have really tried to maintain a focus with our freshman class that got elected together to understand the significance of the Tampa Bay region. I think you saw a little bit with the USF fight last year, and certainly it wasn't always pretty. We didn't like the corner that we were backed into, but at the end of the day, when we were backed into the corner, we came out swinging and we got it done. And so I think you're starting to see Moffitt is another great example. I mean, it's a tremendous resource. It's the only NCI designated cancer facility in our state, treating patients from all 50 states and something like 85 countries. Moffitt's not in my district, and I'll go to the Matt Forum every day of the week, but it's because of an understanding of what this Tampa Bay community means, and understanding, certainly now, I mean, how ridiculous would it be for me to talk about these arbitrary divisions, East Lake Road or County Line Road or Dale Mabry, and suggest that because the business or the constituent or the issue is not within that imaginary line, that it doesn't matter to our region, and that it doesn't have us leading this state. And I think that's one of the exciting things is, it's all well and good for me to be in Tallahassee committed to creating an environment where small business can thrive. But it doesn't do any good if we're not working with our local officials to make sure that we're doing it in a manner that it actually makes sense, and that it actually implements the effect, and that we get the desired effect that we're trying to get. And so I think that's one of the exciting things when you talk about the awards, right, and the recognition of the various communities or businesses that we have inside of this Tampa Bay region. I truly see it as a Tampa Bay region, and it's my voice to serve these constituents, but it's also my job to be an advocate for Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm. On that note, I was told a few years ago by a representative that I don't represent your district. And actually, every time all of you go up and vote for something, you are representing the whole state.
So I told people during my first campaign, and you can imagine Dale Mabry, I actually only had a small portion of east of Dale Mabry. I really only had original Carrollwood, so I didn't have any of Lutz, if you're familiar with that area. But point being, I didn't have a lot of votes from people that I grew up with, going to church with, playing baseball with, or going to high school with, and their families, and they would consistently say, well, we can't vote for you. And I said, well, I need your help because I need to go to Tallahassee and vote for you. Mm-hmm. And I think it's truly an understanding that our job up there is, it's why I stress kind of the regionalization and the branding of Tampa Bay. There is nobody, in my opinion, that can compete with the resources and the assets that we have in the Tampa Bay region if we could just stick to a dedicated vision and apply ourselves as really just voices and policymakers implementing that which turns the private sector loose and allows you as a local government who's closest to our constituents to govern in a way that most closely affects these lives. Because at the end of the day, the decisions you make up here will impact this room and this community more than I will, as long as I stay out of the way.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Representative Grant, for being here. Our next item on the agenda is presentation of the Council Manager Award, and Mr. Haddock is going to do that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm very happy this evening to have the opportunity to present this month's Council Manager Award to Michael Crawford.
Tap a few times.
Just don't have to close that thing.
Just don't. Huh.
I'll come over here. Hello. Nope.
Hello back.
Hello.
Okay. Well, everyone may not really know why we give the Council Manager Award, but it's to come on up here, Michael.
Thank you.
To recognize someone who has contributed to the betterment of Oldsmar, and certainly Mr. Crawford qualifies in that regard. Currently, Michael is the interim executive director of the Pinellas Planning Council, and I didn't look this up. I don't know, how many years have you worked for the Planning Council altogether?
19.
19 years. Pretty soon, it'll be 20, won't it? Well, I knew it had been a while, and over those years, Mr. Crawford has done a lot for the city of Oldsmar and provided assistance to us on many occasions related to annexation issues and land use amendments and a number of other things. And so tonight, we just wanted to take the opportunity to let you know we appreciate the work that you do, not just for Oldsmar, but for all the 25 local governments in Pinellas County, and promoting the cooperation and working together to make the entire community a better place for all of us. And I know that in your position, you don't get a lot of glory, but
Sometimes that's better.
at least we could take a few minutes this evening to let you know we appreciate the work that you've done, and just to say thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Congratulations. And then you can talk.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to talk. Yeah. It's difficult. It's always this competition for shame.
And be sure and introduce the guest that came with you tonight also.
I will. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Just and quickly, because I know the mayor usually has a deadline on his meetings, because he's my chairman as well, so we get done. Our average keeps getting shorter and shorter. But I want to say thank you. I was surprised, but I also want to say that we do a lot of local assistance. We do land use cases. We had a recent one in Bay Arbor and over on 580, the West Oldsmar annexation study, and I think that those have been pretty successful, in part because Marie and Tom and Bruce have all helped us in developing a better product. And we love helping the city of Oldsmar. Everyone here has always been responsive to us. Thank you very much, Bruce. And I was just trying to think about
our history up here, and it has been 19 years. It really feels like it's been about 3 or 4. But prior to that, I was with Tarpon Springs for 9 years. And if you remember, Dave Shinneman was your planner back then. And Dave and I went to school together at Florida State University. So that goes back almost 30 years, and I feel like I'm not even 25. So I don't know what that. But I do want to say thank you very much again. And also, we have a local assistance arm of what we do. We look after your needs on a countywide basis. The mayor's involved in transportation and land use throughout the county, so we try and bring all that to you as well. But we have a strong local assistance arm. We hope to do more of that in the future. I noticed that some of you were struggling tonight with the iPads, and I have a little local assistance section over here that can help. They'd be glad to offer their services in getting us up and running. They help me. But I would like to introduce my wife, Susie, and my stepdaughter, Erin, Amy, and Alex, and they all came to say hi. They know the mayor. They've been to our meetings. In fact, a contentious one. We had a little group of people there that weren't so nice. I won't say what the names are, but anyhow, thank you. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the council, thank you. They like working with Oldsmar too. And thank you, Mayor, for being our chairman and keeping our meeting short.
Thank you, Mike. I will say that back in 2010, when Mike took over as the interim director, I actually had the privilege, or I got voted as the person to negotiate the deal with him. So I'm glad that was successful. And this past Wednesday, we just renewed his contract again. Good. Because there was a week or two where he was working with no contract at the PPC. So we got that done for him. But I will say, working with Mike, he's the consummate professional.
I can tell.
Just unbelievably professional. I mean, everything is crystal clear with Mike. He's great at keeping me informed at anything. He asks for direction, whatever. He just does a great job. And I would love to see you become the director, but I know you don't want to do that, but I think you would be perfect for that job. So.
Just got the elbow.
Mayor, he thought he didn't have to put up with Oldsmar anymore. I worked with him for 7 years.
That's right.
And then he got rid of me, and then you showed up.
And I've been with him for 7 years now. So.
Well, it's great to see them. I'm sorry, Vice Mayor. I was going to say Mayor Beaverland, because it was so natural for so many years that you were the mayor here, and our council for so many years, and our chairperson as well. So we've been well served by Oldsmar, and as we get into the unification as well with the Metropolitan Planning Organization and the PPC, we'll have even more of that. Your seat ends up becoming a rotated seat with with Safety Harbor and Tarpon Springs. But we have a new map that we're working on. It's a dynamic map. You remember the 38 categories, and every time we had a little half-acre amendment, it was just...
I try to forget that.
That's right. Well, the new map is much more dynamic. We haven't brought it fully to the council yet, but we have target employment districts, which we seem to be finding one here in Oldsmar, and we want to try and enhance the ability for you to attract target employment uses, maybe even more so than you have now. Of course, Pinellas County Economic Development has a program to bring in target industries. We worked with them to develop this map. We work with the MPO. So we should be bringing that to the council in the next couple of months in a conceptual fashion. And again, it's very dynamic, very easy to use. I think Marie will love it. She won't have to go through so many hoops to get what she needs in Oldsmar, but we think it makes sense from a countywide perspective as opposed to us being so involved in local decisions that you all have to fight these battles up here. We'll let you do it here. We want to stay out of that. We'll stick to the countywide level, but hopefully we'll be bringing that back to you and showing you sometime next year and see what you think about it as well. So. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and thank you, Mayor.
That's fine. No. Again, congratulations. And, we want to thank your beautiful family for joining you here today too, and welcome them to the city of Oldsmar as well.
Beautiful facility. Thank you.
Probably already been posted on YouTube, I'm guessing.
You need to get on Skype or Facebook or downloading, uploading within seconds.
And turn the iPad on 15 seconds before the meeting started. So I don't think we'll be getting on any of the
Time's out.
Oh, I get tired of it.
And you're quite outnumbered, I see.
All right, next up is a
so nice.
proclamation to the Friends of the Library. And this is from the Office of the Mayor, Oldsmar, Florida. Proclamation. Friends of the Library Week. Whereas, Friends of the Oldsmar Library raise money that enables our library to move from good to great, providing the resources for additional programming, much needed equipment, support for children's summer reading, and special events throughout the year. And whereas the work of the Friends highlights on an ongoing basis the fact that our library is the cornerstone of the community, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of lifelong learning and connect with the thoughts and ideas of others from ages past to the present. And whereas the Friends understand the critical importance of well-funded libraries and advocate to ensure that our library gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all ages, including access to print and electronic materials, along with expert assistance in research, readers advisory, and children's services. And whereas the Friends' gift of their time and commitment to the library sets an example for all how to volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement and betterment of our community. Now, therefore, I, Jim Roniker, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of October 21st through 27th, 2012 as Friends of the Library Week in the City of Oldsmar, and urge everyone to join the Friends of the Library and thank them for all they do to make our library and community so much better. Dated this 16th of October, 2012, and the Friends are going to accept this.
Thank you.
Rest of the Friends are coming?
Come on, friends. Camera shy. That gets an encouragement for them. Come on, friends. And actually, we should have Councilmember Norris and Councilmember Miller and Councilmember Beaverland, as well as the city manager, join us because they are all friends.
Who did you say?
Would you come on down?
Come down and get your picture taken as a friend of the library. Nerd shot.
Can you all scoot this way so you can get the podium and that?
This way. That way. Oh, okay.
Everybody in proclamation. There we go. How's that? Whoops, we're still moving. We're still moving.
Okay.
If you can't see everybody, they can't see you.
You guys take pictures?
Okay.
Thank you.
Have you said everything you want to say?
Well, I was going to I wanted to thank Linda Norris for her contributions, and let's see, that's right, he's vice mayor. Jerry Beaverland, want to thank him for his contributions, and of course, Jan Miller has helped us greatly as a member at large, and also Mr. Beaverland is a member at large, which we do have council members who really have helped in making things greater for our group.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Friends, for all the work that you do for the library.
Let's hear it for the Friends. Thank you.
I think you're going to lose our group right now.
Next up, we've got consider the appointment of Quinn Trahijo as an alternate member of the Code Enforcement Board. And Quinn, would you like to come up? Please tell me I pronounced your name right. Close?
No, Trujillo.
Quinn Trujillo.
Trujillo. Okay, I apologize. Well, first of all, this is something the council did a number of years ago. It's probably been 5 or 6 years now. We were always appointing people to boards and we never knew who they were. A lot of times we didn't know who they were. So we wanted to put a face to the person we were appointing. And first of all, I want to applaud you for wanting to serve on this board. This is a board where you don't make many friends. So we appreciate your willingness to want to serve on the board. And I don't know if anybody on council has any questions for you.
Shouldn't we have approved her before you said that?
What?
I would like to, first of all, welcome you. And since you've only been in town for a year, I would like to invite you to join the Citizens Academy in March.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay,
I would love
actually,
to go.
you have to get with Kathy and do it way before March. Because
It's
it
no
fills
thanks.
up quickly. Do we have room?
Yes.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Quinn?
No, what the mayor said, I mean, we do see a lot of people that are reappointed, but it's nice, we've never had a chance to meet you, and it's nice to see you, and definitely appreciate your stepping forward on a board and participating. We got some great volunteers, and you're one of them. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have any questions for us? If not, I will take a motion to appoint Quinn to the alternate member of the board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Quinn.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, that concludes the fun part of the meeting. We now go to our city attorney. No.
He's no fun, right?
Well, it's a Snyder hearing.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, council members, item number 8 on your agenda is consider a minor site plan amendment and variances for McDonald's at the 4085 Tampa Road. This is a Snyder hearing, so anyone that's going to testify or present information to the council, if they could stand, raise their right hand, and be sworn in. Anyone that's going to testify today, please. You swear that the testimony you're about to give at this council meeting will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you very much.
And just before we start, if you could just let people know what a Snyder hearing is, for those that might not know.
It's a quasi-judicial proceeding where this council will make a decision as to whether or not it's going to grant these minor site plan amendments and variances based on the testimony and evidence that they receive at the meeting today. It is kind of a semi-formal action that the council has taken. So is that sufficient enough?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much. Marie.
Okay, we're going to have some slides to show you. Thanks.
State your name.
Okay, Marie Dauphiné, Planning and Redevelopment Director. And this is a site plan amendment and variance request for the McDonald's site, which is located at 4085 Tampa Road. I want to just give you a small, short background. It's located at the northeast corner of the intersection of Tampa Road and Burbank Road, and it's approximately 0.98 acres, with a zoning designation of C2 Commercial General and a land use designation of Commercial General. It's currently developed with a 4,398 square foot restaurant. It was constructed in 1974, and it included 68 parking spaces and 1 drive-through lane. In the 1990s, a portion of the parking lot along Tampa Road was removed due to the widening of Tampa Road, and it resulted in a reduction of 28 spaces, so it went from 68 spaces to 40 spaces. So the applicant is requesting redevelopment of the property to include 170 square foot expansion, architectural improvements, modifications to the parking area, including a double drive-through, relocation of the dumpster enclosure, and landscape improvements. And in order to accomplish this redevelopment, the applicant is also requesting 5 variances. First, to increase the impervious surface ratio from 70% to 79.2%, reduce the front landscape buffer strip from 10 feet to 2.2 feet along Burbank Road, and reduce the eastern landscape buffer from 5 feet to 1.1 foot. The third variance, increase the distance between the interior landscape islands from the requirement of a maximum of every 80 feet to 105 feet. The fourth variance, reduce the number of off-street parking spaces from 46 to 40. And finally, reduce the western drive aisle from 16 feet to 13.1 feet. That's a picture of the existing McDonald's. Yesterday, right. Yeah. And staff has been working with the applicant to provide enhanced architecture on the existing building. The architecture includes earth tones and stone facades, architectural features such as a new entrance feature, canopies with yellow accents. In addition, the applicant has provided enhanced landscaping along Tampa Road. You can't see it from these, but this is the view from the Burbank Road facade. So I'll go through each of the variances. The first variance, to increase the impervious surface ratio from 70% to 79.2%. This is an existing condition. The widening of Tampa Road, that was that's what caused this variance, or what was 78.2% to occur. So really, all they're going is like 1 more percent to 79.2%, and it doesn't exceed the 90% permitted by the countywide rules. So we have no objection to that request. And then that's just a picture of the drive-through. Okay, the second variance, a variance to reduce the front landscape buffer strip from 10 feet to 2.2 along Burbank Road, and reduce the eastern landscape buffer from 5 feet to 1.1 feet. It's already non-conforming with regards to landscaping, so we talked to the applicant, and we realized that there's limited width or landscape area to put the buffer that's required. You can see here there's already some palm trees, and the right-of-way is actually too narrow to meet that requirement. The applicant is proposing to put a hedge along that, so staff is satisfied, and we feel that would that we have no objection to that request. The eastern landscape buffer that separates, you can see here the eastern side, that separates the McDonald's parking lot. There's a credit union on the other side, and that's landscaped with trees, you can see, and a chain link fence. And it's staff's position that this will not be detrimental to surrounding properties, so we have no objection to that request. The third variance, it's to increase the distance between the interior landscaped islands from the requirement of a maximum of every 80 feet to 105 feet. So in this case, the applicant could put the landscape islands in 2 areas, but if they did that, that would mean that they wouldn't be able to put enough parking in there, and we would rather have the parking spaces as opposed to having more landscaping or landscape islands. So there's nothing else that they can really do in that location, so staff is supporting that request. Let me see which ones. Oh, they're going to relocate 2 handicap parking spaces. Right now, they're at a location that really isn't convenient, and they're going to relocate them. It's kind of to the right of this picture here, which is going to be more accessible, and staff is supporting that request. There's also going to be redevelopment to include relocation of the parking spaces nearest to the Tampa Road entrance. Right now, these spaces they can impede vehicles moving in and out. It causes a dangerous condition. If they're relocated, it'll be safer. Cars coming in from Tampa Road, there won't be like a queuing coming in from Tampa Road, and those vehicles can safely exit the parking lot. So we are supporting that request also. And this is just a general. This is the area I'm talking about. If you backed out, a car coming in from Tampa Road, an accident might occur. So we feel that's a safer condition.
These years.
The drive aisle variance. The variance to reduce the western drive aisle from 16 feet to 13.1 feet. Right now, there's a single drive-through, and the applicant is proposing to have a double drive-through. Right now, if they move the parking spaces, it would really not be feasible because it would create another unsafe condition, so staff is supporting that variance request. And that's it. And so staff reviewed the request against the 10 conditions outlined in section 3.17.3 of the Land Development Code. And based on that review, staff is recommending approval of the amendment to the site plan and the 5 variances. Staff is also requesting that in the future, the applicant should consider investigating getting a cross-access parking agreement with like a neighboring property in the event that there's an increase in parking due to the opening of Burbank Road. So we're just asking that they consider that.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd like to submit the staff report into the record.
I got one question for you. Based on the restaurant being the 4,398 square feet and us reducing the parking, does that still make it within the criteria that we set a couple of years ago for restaurants?
No, it does not.
It does not.
It's already non-conforming. So that, the requirement was 10 spaces, 4 per 1,000. No, 10 per 1,000. Went from 4 per 1,000 to 10 per 1,000. So they really are deficient in the parking. But we looked at the site at different times of the day. Sometimes during the lunch hour, there could be a more traffic there than usual, but it's not always the case. So they're trying to redevelop the parking lot, and hopefully this will, satisfy a lot of concerns.
Okay. And basically the look is going to be kind of what you see at West Chase or
the Stone
and Rise or something.
McMullen Booth.
Yeah, McMullen Booth, yeah. Okay. Any questions for Steph?
I don't have a question. I just kind of want to maybe follow up on what Jim said. And I was involved in a lot of right-of-way acquisition, and these particular things do cause hardships to a lot of businesses. And when you look at the numbers in the bullet items, the 70 to 79.2, it seems like a huge variance, but because of the impacts that the Tampa Road corridor has caused, it's really a very minor increase in the 170 square feet of additional, 1.7 spaces that, and you're right, it's pretty insignificant in the scheme of things, I think. So.
Well, it's been operating for 30 years with no major problems. But, we're just concerned with the opening of Burbank Road. There might potentially be a future parking issue. So we want them to start looking at that.
Don't you think that, especially at lunchtime, most of the stuff is probably drive-through, right? That's what I figured. Mm-hmm. So,
we're just anticipating, any potential issue that might occur.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's going to be a problem.
Anybody else for Steph? All right.
I'm just glad they wanted to do something else, making Oldsmar more beautiful.
Thank you very much, Marie. Mm-hmm. Now the applicant.
Ooh, I like your
Good evening. Kim Binkley, Sire with the Sire Group. I hope by this time you're now probably all hungry because you've been thinking McDonald's for a long period of time. That kind of goes with it. With the Sire Group out of Sarasota, part of the McDonald's team working on the redevelopment on this side and through the Tampa Bay area. And have to tell you, just very excited that they've selected the Oldsmar store to modernize. We've been at this program for a couple of years now, and it's almost coming to the point if you don't modernize a store, people are going to start driving by and looking at, why not? Why not this market? Why not this area? We have gotten fabulous feedback from cities and counties where we have redone these stores. And we have modified our color scheme to try to blend in to your corridor to try to adapt. It's kind of what we're seeing everywhere. You've got existing conditions. The store is 38 years old. I'm unhappy to say that I'm older than the store, which is becoming very sad. But, the situation is that it's aged. The codes have changed. The codes have changed for the better. But it really is a matter of always sitting down with staff and figuring out how close can you get to the intent of that code? What can you do to beautify? We also know that if you plant trees in an area where it's just not wide enough, it's unsuccessful. So what can you plant that's going to look good, stay looking nice, and enhance the landscaping along the way? We're really proud of the new facade. It's been evaluated in a lot of different ways and described in a lot of different ways. But the bottom line is that McDonald's is trying to upgrade their image on their look. They are trying to look a little bit softer, try to get rid of the hard red and yellow plastic that we all grew up with. We're adding 170 square feet, but we're not adding any more seating. So that's just squaring off a building to make it function a little bit better. And so there's really not a change in the seats, which is one of the things that we would really look for in the parking ratio. Second drive-through, phenomenally successful. Believe it or not, there are some people who go to McDonald's who know exactly what they're going to get way before they get there.
Right.
And they get the same exact thing every time. And then there are my children who know that when we get up to the window and they ask for a milkshake, that they can't have it. What I refer to as the person who takes a long time to place an order. Okay, because my children and I will be debating of what they're going to have to drink with a Happy Meal type of thing. So what the double drive-through offers is better traffic circulation, so the lines aren't backing up into the roads, into the state roads. DOT used to hate McDonald's for this issue, and now they're a big proponent of the double drive-through because it's been so effective in just the traffic flow and keeping it moving where we've been able to navigate it better where the customers are walking out the doors and what have you. When we look at these sites, we're always looking at how to improve and really take a hard look at the changes in ADA. You know, this is the opportunity to go through and really take a look at that. So the double drive-through, very, very, very successful. And even though they pull into that same window to pay their money and collect their food, the process backside is enormously faster because somebody else is already preparing, because you've hired more people, because you've got the double drive-through and you've increased the efficiency. Finding that there's a lot of traffic that comes through those double drive-throughs, and the lunch traffic especially. People try to cram a lot of business into that lunchtime. Either they get a very short break or they're hustling back to get to work. People just don't take the leisurely lunch breaks. Right. Apparently, if you go through a McDonald's drive-through when the light is red and you get your food before it changes, it's calorie-free. So we're finding that there is a very big boost to being at the intersections and the signal. So she went through all the variances. They are very typical to what we've gone through. I will tell you that we looked at the parking, we've studied the parking, particularly in Pinellas County. The number of parking spaces that we have here are very consistent with the small reductions that we've seen in other locations. And these stores have been operating for several months now. We're not seeing any problems. This store has been operating with this amount of parking for a very long time because we're not changing the parking. We're moving some of it around. But part of the variances we're asking for so we don't lose any additional parking. So we've been operating with this existing parking count for a very long time, which was really from the road taking. You know what? And we're glad the road is approved. But we have to look at how the truck traffic is going to work. I will tell you that the guys who drive those the trash truck ways rule the day. Those trash drivers, they know exactly what they want, and they get their 2 cents in to make sure that they've got a clean path to come in and service the trash and get out of there as well. So believe it or not, that is a big part of when we're taking a look at it. Just as much time goes with the trash, movement of the trucks, because the size of those trucks have changed. Mm-hmm. The size of the McDonald's delivery trucks have changed. Everything is getting a little bit bigger. So we hope that we can take advantage of the landscaping that we have, keep the mature landscaping what we have, put some more in and really enhance it, create some layers. It's really a lot of shrubberies, a lot of lower stuff, a few trees, but the bottom line is you just don't have a lot of room to put a lot of trees in. So I will tell you that I could talk all night long on how positive I think that is, that you've got a corporation that is reinvesting in the sites like this. It is good for the employment. The employees like it. They like the new equipment. The hiring goes up when they have these stores. It has been very, very successful. I have had rezonings going on nonstop for the last couple of years. And in the neighborhood meetings, I don't get people unhappy with McDonald's. I get good questions and answers. And if I could figure out how to make emptying the dumpster quiet, I will be retiring, because that would be the thing that I don't have a magical answer for. But we've not had opposition from people. They've been excited to see the reinvestment and the change to really perfect kind of what we do. You know, it is all about, they have wireless now. I will tell you that every college student knows that you can go through and have wireless. And now it's becoming the new stop for, you need to run in, plug up, you know, get something to drink long enough to get that battery juice going a little bit. So I'll be more than happy. I've got Chris Coleman from High Point Engineering, one of our engineer teams, and Pam Dadia here. If you all have any questions, we're happy to take any that you have. Otherwise, I won't keep you.
All right, thank you for that presentation. I've got one question. Is the store closed during the renovation, or is it
Absolutely not. That would be wrong. That would be very wrong. You know what? There are extra steps that they have to take to preserve and make sure that the dust stays away from the food and what have you. Mm-hmm. We've gone through all that vetting and that process. We've pretty much nailed that now. Okay.
Any questions for the applicant?
Not really.
I have some comments.
I understand
at comment time, but not right now.
I don't have any questions.
We might get back to you.
What's the expected time frame to make the renovation?
If we could have the permit next week. We'd start next week.
And what's the time frame to?
We'd like to have it done by the end of the year. So we literally would have plans ready to see.
Man, I've watched them do those, and it's amazing to kind of see them.
First of all, it takes to build a brand new McDonald's, like we've seen where we scrape and you're starting all over, build a brand new McDonald's is 75 days. Wow. And believe me, there's an entire team of people working very hard to try to get it down to 65 days. But on these, it is truly better, the faster, the better. So we would hope to try to move the permitting process as fast as possible and get the store renovated and done this year.
Good. Okay, thank you. All right, this is a public hearing. Are there any proponents that want to address the council? Any proponents? How about opponents? How about anybody just wanting to come up and telling the council they're doing a great job? See no one from the public, I will close the public hearing. Marie, did you want to add anything, or are we good with all the information? Okay. I support this. I think this is a great project. I think it's great for the aesthetics of Tampa Road, and after 38 years, I think it's probably time for this facility to be renovated. So
yeah.
With that said, unless anybody else has anything, I'd take a motion. Or you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just want to make some comments. I'm probably the only one here that attended the dedication in 1974 when Casper built the first McDonald's in the city of Oldsmar, and everybody in the rest of Pinellas County laughed. How in the world
I can imagine. We had 12 people in town.
McDonald's before the other cities got a McDonald's, but they didn't know that the guy that built the thing just lived across the street. And most of the reclinadas down Park Boulevard came from, Casper gave them to us, did he not?
That's right.
All those big reclinata palms going down the street. I remember, in fact, somewhere I've got some photographs when they opened the McDonald's. An ex-mayor, Richard Rogers, was a Boy Scout
leader
at the time, and the Boy Scouts were down there, and we had a big, it was a big thing for the city of Oldsmar because there's a McDonald's coming into town. When,
yes.
Safety Harbor didn't have one, and Tarpon didn't have one.
I think it was our first restaurant that ever actually stayed in business.
But
truly,
do you know
there were
what
only
the
1,200 people here?
Do you know what the first decor was?
Yeah, racetrack.
Would you?
I remember that. I remember that. Oh,
sorry. That's okay. The first decor was horses and racetrack inside. I
think it still should be.
I just thought y'all like know that. Of course, we would like to have one that y'all renovated in Long Island.
What?
Not the Long Island one. I have to tell you, when I travel, I look because people bring up.
That's a historical house they renovated. I think it was
really?
Long Island. It was on the internet this
Where
week.
in Long Island?
I don't know, but it's a big house, and they renovated. You got a motion?
Garden City?
Well, wait. Before I ask for the motion, I'm going to ask the applicant, is it okay if we go with what staff's recommending? The applicant doesn't have a problem with the 5 recommendations from staff, correct?
We're fine.
Excellent. So I need the motion to include staff's recommendation.
You got
Second.
You got the motion, a second? You wanted to say something?
No, I was giving you the motion. I
thank
gave
you.
it to you before.
But
that's okay.
I had to legally get everything
That's
right
okay.
for the record.
That's okay. That's okay.
I got the motion and a
No
second.
biggie.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We're building a new McDonald's. If you have a problem, let me know, and I'll see what we can do. Anything else?
Yeah, I have one other thing. I wanted to let you know that the Damith matter that I had asked for authority to file suit on, you remember I'd mentioned last meeting that we were going to be receiving the check. I did want to let you know that we did receive the check. It was approximately $8,000. It did include all the interest, all the attorney's fees, all the costs that were incurred. Basically, you got every penny that you were owed for those 2 old liens. We're waiting for the check to clear. It's been about a week or so. We think that it's pretty much cleared, so it's probably going to be a done deal.
Excellent.
Nice.
Good job.
Nice.
Thank you for that. City Manager.
Mayor, with your permission, I'd like to just take a few minutes to make an introduction before I take up item number 9.
Please.
That way we can sandwich the city attorney in between the fun part and then we'll have some more fun part here.
Thank you, Bruce.
I would like to introduce our Public Works Administrator, Melanie Gillespie. I believe this is her first council meeting, although she's been with us. She's soon going to hit her 2-month anniversary.
Traditionally, the new employees sing to the council when they first come.
Something we choose, too.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I want to introduce Melanie. She has worked for the city of Fort Myers for about 6 years as a stormwater engineer, and prior to that, she worked for the Louisiana Department of Transportation. In fact, she was in Louisiana when Katrina hit. So I know some of you went up and volunteered after that and did some work up there. So she was up there firsthand working for their DOT at that point. She joined us about 2 months ago, and so far her experience with DOT and with stormwater has proven to be valuable in reviews and in addressing some of the smaller stormwater issues in-house that we have seen around the city that we've tried to do, but now we actually have somebody with the expertise looking at it. And so I'd like to introduce Melanie. I'll let her speak for a minute. Just another thing that I know some of you might find interesting, she is in the Naval Reserve. I know your son teaches in Annapolis, so I thought you might find that interesting. And so periodically she's gone off at training, but I'll let her speak for a minute.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome, Melody.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to join your city. I look forward to learning more about the city, and I enjoy the small-knit community. It seems to be a pretty tight bond, so I very much look forward to it.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on your new job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'll move on to item 9. Consider approval of contract with Cardno TBE for construction engineering services for the Parks Connection Master Plan. You'll recall earlier this summer, the council approved the grant agreements with FDOT providing financing and funding for, well, now we've had all 5 phases, but this is related to the first group. It's phases 1, 2, and 4, and the grant funding also provides for construction inspection services, and that's what the contract before you this evening is for. It's in the amount of $78,915. I'd also like to point out that before the meeting tonight, I did pass out a sheet of paper. It's page 6 of the contract, and it's what was in the packet. It's the same page, but we've added Section 16, which is our E-Verify clause. So the contract you would be approving tonight would have the page 6 that I passed out as one individual sheet of paper before the meeting, including that E-Verify clause.
Thank you.
If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. I recommend approval of the contract with Cardno TBE for construction inspection services.
What's the time frame for completion of this? You know?
It's out for bid now, or no? I don't know, but maybe Jeff or Al. Are you talking about the time frame for construction?
Yeah. For the trail to be done is what I'm asking.
I think the construction time on these 3 phases, I want to say, is about 8 months.
8 months. Okay.
I don't remember the bid schedule.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, this is a good thing. It's already funded. We got the grants. So unless anybody has any questions for Mr. Haddock, I would take a motion to approve the contract. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item is consider adoption of Resolution 2012-18, authorizing issuance of refunding revenue note. We've had some discussion about this previously, and of course the council is aware that we did issue a request for proposals through our financial advisor, Public Financial Management. We received 4 proposals on this refinancing. It's the refinancing of 2002 bond issue that was used to purchase Veterans Memorial Park. The most favorable proposal was received from SunTrust, and we are recommending that they be awarded the refinancing. The interest rate over a 10-year term is 1.78%. As a result of this refinancing, we'll save approximately $20,000 a year. Over the 10-year period, that will be about $200,000 in round numbers.
That's great.
The term is the same as the original bond issue. It was a 20-year issue expiring in 2022. This 10-year note will expire the same period of time, 2022. It's in the amount of $1,550,000. I'll read the resolution by title only. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, authorizing the issuance of a non-ad valorem refunding revenue note, Series 2012, in the city in the principal amount of $1,550,000 to refund certain outstanding obligations of the city and to pay associated transactional costs, providing that the note shall be a limited obligation of the city, payable from non-ad valorem revenues, budgeted and appropriated as provided herein, providing for the rights, securities, and remedies for the owners of the note, designating the note as a qualified tax-exempt obligation within the meaning of the Internal Revenue Code, making certain covenants and agreements in connection therewith, and providing for an effective date. That's the reading of Resolution 2012-18 by title only. I recommend its adoption. If you have any questions, we have several people here that can answer your questions about it.
I really see this as a no-brainer for this $20,000 a year for the next 10 years. Piece of property we bought that's one of the most gorgeous pieces of property around. So, I need a motion to adopt Resolution 2012-18. Get a second? Got the motion a second? Any other discussion? Nope. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much.
I'm wondering if Representative Grant is like finding it like a little, how easy it is for us. First we get like a trail project that we have funded, right? Okay, that's a no-brainer. Then we save $200,000 by refinancing a loan. You know? It's like, welcome to the small town.
On top of that, you should know that we are now, that's okay, you don't have to get up. We are now, City of Oldsmar is 10 square miles. And better than 3 square miles of that is parks and preserves. On purpose.
Right. And the trail connection is going to connect all of our trails.
That's awesome.
Oh, it is awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Which is going to connect with your people in Hillsborough County.
It is. It is.
Talking my language, right?
Your parents could ride their bike all the way here.
I don't know that Dad could make it, but maybe wrong.
Next item, number 11, is a status report on the Tampa Road Corridor Plan. This does not require council action or a vote tonight, but we are looking for feedback from the council after the report is presented, things that you like or don't like about it, or other ideas. So I'll turn it over to our Planning and Redevelopment Director, Marie Dauphin.
Well, you know that the Tampa Road Corridor project, we're trying to improve development along Tampa Road, and the McDonald's was a good example. In August of 2011, Wilson Miller Stantec, our consultant, Leo DeTosto, and Neil, they held a public meeting with owners and businesses along Tampa Road to get their input with regards to what they'd like to see, how they'd like to see it developed. And it was a preference survey with regard to architecture, common seating areas, landscaping, etc. So, and based on that, Wilson Miller Stantec has prepared a overall concept plan. So, we're still moving along. This is kind of like phase 2 of the project. So,
Marie, just which okay, thanks. All right, Leah Del Tosto with Stantec, and as Marie stated, we are going to continue with the visual portion of Tampa Road Corridor. Tampa Road is like the front door of your community, because either you're coming to the community on that road, or you're passing through the community on that road. So the way it looks really impacts how you look at, how you feel about the city itself. And so what we have done through this process is look at ways that we can enhance how that feeling is as you travel the corridor. As stated here, the objective was to create and reinforce community identity along the corridor by improving mobility options, providing beautification improvements, establishing consistent wayfinding, and implementing architectural and land development standards. And as you can see, some of the ways that you do that is through building setbacks, height, scale, looking at architectural guidelines for the buildings that are being proposed along it, looking at how parking is accessed and how you screen it from the roadways and where it's placed on the site, looking at streetscape options, street trees along the corridor, lighting, benches, sidewalks, looking at how signage is addressed. What does it need to look like? How are businesses identified? And then looking at lighting options, street lighting and pedestrian lighting. One of the first examples that we're going to talk about, since parking is has a big impact on how a parcel is looked at. When parking is in the front of the site, it has a much different feel to that site versus parking being placed in the rear. So this example here, we're showing how when you push the building up to the front of the site, the roadway feels much more user-friendly. The scale of the roadway is brought down because the buildings are closer to you as you travel by, giving better visibility to those businesses or retail site, commercial, office, and it also hides the parking lots, which aren't the most attractive portion of the corridor. Another way to do that, if you don't have enough room for parking in the rear, is also looking at putting parking to the side, still keeping the buildings up adjacent to the front of the site so that it has visibility, but then moving the parking to the side so that there's sort of a rhythm that's created with building and then parking versus looking at parking all the way down as you drive by. The next example is putting a limited amount of parking in front of a building. A lot of retailers really feel that they need to display that they do have parking, that putting it in the rear has a negative impact on their store. That hasn't been proven, but in the cases where you want to have a marginal amount of parking available, you can put a small amount in the front and then distribute the rest of it on the side and the back. It still brings the building closer to the front. No, it's not in the ideal location, but it's better than having like what we call a sea of parking as you drive by.
Does this building actually have parking in the front? It doesn't?
Yeah. Yes, it has one strip of parking right in the front.
It is?
Oh, I'm sorry, it would help if I advance the slide.
Oh.
Sorry about that. I thought I hit the button. Okay, now you can see the parking.
Oh. Yeah.
The last example on parking is in areas and actually along the corridor we have this, even though this is not a picture taken there, a lot of examples where this would occur because you have the roadway being a lot higher than the adjacent parcels. You can use that grade differential to an advantage so that the parking is actually recessed some so that you can look through the site and see the building, but the parking being down lower provides a natural screen even more so than you would with vegetation. Okay, now let's progress to the corridor. The map that you see here, basically, upon studying the corridor, we identified that there was 5 different districts along the corridor. On either end of them, you have the gateway, which we're going to call the west end and the east end. It's a gateway either from the Pinellas side or a gateway from the Hillsborough side. In the middle, from the west, we have stable residential, the traditional single-family residents and multifamily that are located in that area. And then you transition to what we call the commercial core, and that's where most of your businesses, industrial, retail, traditional businesses that have been along the corridor exist. And then as you progress further east is the town center area. That's identified slightly different from the commercial core in that we expect that there'd be more density and more attributes that would be more positive for pedestrians in this area. And then, like I said, we have the east end, which we're identifying as the other gateway. So now describe, to kind of work through these 5 different character districts, we'll start with the west end. Right, I am pushing the button. Okay. At the intersection of Curlew and Tampa Road, there exists a triangle now that's just mainly a landscape median. And what we see is this is an opportunity to create a gateway, something that would set the tone as you enter Oldsmar. So you can see in this example, we have identified an entry tower that's located in the center of that triangle space, and then also highlighted a better pedestrian flow and crosswalks, and also added bike lanes to this area so that you look at more mobility, not just for the cars. Did you have a question?
May I say something? I was just wondering why you would put that entry tower at Curlew rather than down by Canal Park in the median.
I mean, that's another example. I mean, it could go in some...
Because that's part of Oldsmar.
Right.
This looks like this is where Oldsmar begins, and that's not where it begins.
No, it isn't, and you'll see on the east end that we don't necessarily have to put it right at the boundary line. The reason this was chosen over the other location is that you have people coming up Curlew that aren't going to be on Tampa Road. So it's catching both of those streams of traffic coming in, not just the ones that are on Tampa Road.
Mr. Mayor, I guess we're going to have a discussion as we go.
We're not voting on anything today.
No. You know, I don't even know why we're going through this process like this. You know, most of us in the city of Oldsmar is already here. We have a few parcels of land. My concern is not where a zone here and a zone there is. My concern is architectural designs. Other than that, I don't know why we're going through this other, because it's just, to me, it's a waste of time.
Me too.
It might be not a waste of time to the other council people, but I don't know, because it's not going to change anything. It's going to be what it is. Architectural designs is my concern, and that's my only concern. And, you know, I know you're presenting other things, but I don't want to act like I'm driving down Baltimore where I'm going through a canyons of stores on the side of the road. I don't like that. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Anyway, I voiced my opinion. I'm concerned about architectural designs, and that's all.
Well, that's one component of the whole temporal corridor plan, but you have to still take into account landscaping and, you know.
I understand. Landscaping, architectural designs, and possibly signage. And other than that, why are we going through all this other?
Because we also want to make it a more walkable.
Walkable?
How are you going to do that?
With landscaping, wider sidewalks.
Who's going to walk way down there?
Well, why don't we let her finish?
You'd be surprised, yeah.
Let them finish.
And I know the pattern of development that has occurred in Oldsmar is a traditional pattern of development. Things are changing, and I know it's hard to understand, and a lot of people will say, you know, I'll never walk in Florida. You know, you couldn't get me out in August for any reason at all, but there are people that will walk. And as the population changes, this is not something that can happen immediately. This is something that's going to happen over a very long period of time as parcels come up for redevelopment. That's when Marie, she's working on standards that will help drive development in the future to something that is different than what you're seeing nowadays. And it's something that may not, I guess at this point, when you look at all the development that's occurred and how the parcels are at this point, you may not think, well, that it could ever happen, but it has. And if you look at different communities over time, they do change the way that they look. And so, you know, I understand what you're saying, and at this point, I would agree with you because there's so much that needs to occur. You know, we'll walk our way through it, and you'll see some of the things that may speak to the architectural standards, some of the things you may not like, because it is bringing stuff up to the road. But it's a process, it's a beginning, so.
Well, the architectural standards to me, Mr. Mayor, is that we need to develop them now, because anything else that's going to be built here in town, I can envision it's being built in the next, pretty quick. And architectural standards to me is more important than anything else right now on the corridor. You know, if we want to do this later, that's.
Well, I think staff has done a very effective job as far as the standards go with anybody redeveloping or developing property on the corridor.
They have.
They've done an excellent
About
job.
staff.
They have. The staff's done a great job.
Yeah,
but someone on that corridor doesn't have to. So far, they followed our standards.
Right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they have to follow our standards. And I think, and I think we should have an ordinance where they have to follow our standards. Now, everybody so far, and Marie's done a great job on this. Everybody so far
has bought in.
Yeah, and I think that's great.
Yes.
But if somebody down the road doesn't want to buy in, wait a minute. You know, we've had some problems with one of our developers here in town.
Yes.
He's gonna develop the way he wants, and he has. If we have those standards on an ordinance, he's gonna do it our way.
Okay, so you're basically looking for something similar we did in the downtown with the pattern book. Right.
Right.
Standards.
Yes.
Standards. Okay, that's fine.
But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I agree with him wholeheartedly on that. And, but, you know, there are some businesses, like, say, McDonald's, they have to have their arches, you know. And so some businesses have to look like that company, you know, so that we can encourage them to do a little tweaking.
Well, let me tell you something. The new gas station down here,
Yes.
Circle K, they did a great job.
Yep.
They did a great job.
Mayor, can I say something? I would just like to say that, especially with, I understand what y'all are saying, that the architectural design is more important, but for me and for a lot of people that do look to the more pedestrian friendly, and now with our parks all being connected with bike trails, I'm sure Becky could attest how many people are riding bikes. I actually have friends and family that ride their bike from Tampa, from the Town and Country and Carrollwood area. They connect to all the trails and they come to Oldsmar. So it's happening already and it's only going to increase. So I'd like to say I appreciate seeing
That
this.
has nothing to do with what
Let's
we're
finish
doing.
the
Yeah, well,
presentation.
actually it does.
Yeah, I mean, I have comments, but I'd like to hear this all the way through because I think it all kind of fits together.
Yeah, and just to, Marie, correct me if I'm wrong, but hand in hand with this corridor study is the architectural guidelines, and they all play together, and it's all one big package that works together to create a cohesive corridor, not just addressing one aspect of the corridor.
Right.
So back to the gateway. This is an example of how a gateway element could be placed. It doesn't necessarily have to look like this. This is just an example for Oldsmar. And then it shows some examples from other communities where different gateway pieces have been placed to identify those communities. The next section is called the stable residential section. It's where most of your residential occurs. And you can see this is an example right on the road where there's very limited access as it exists now from the neighborhood out into the roadway. And even at this point, if you do come from the neighborhood, you don't really want to be on the roadway. And I agree with Janice right now. No one would want to walk along there. It's hot. The sidewalks are narrow, you're right on the roadway, you have cars, you don't feel safe. So it's trying to allow people to move from being in a condition, and here's a picture of the roadway where it's inhospitable for someone to be out there, and making it feel more comfortable if you are having to walk.
Well, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's your recommendation for this right here that we're looking at? How are you going to improve that?
This is what I'm trying to show you.
Let's let her finish so she can
This
get to that.
is the existing condition.
Yep.
There's the existing condition as it is now. First step might be to do something more simple by just landscaping the median. That makes it feel a little bit more
Softer.
The beautification has increased. It also, when you have landscaping, it also acts as a calming mechanism for traffic. So traffic may move slightly slower just because there's landscaping, okay?
But we have landscape that corner right there.
We have landscaping.
Not right here.
Yeah, this is,
No?
this is,
Oh, let's get busy. Oh, that's ugly.
this is what it looks like right now, okay?
Well, the landscape is great.
That's what I'm watching.
That part's great.
Okay, well,
Is it the same, Gene?
okay, we're adding landscape, and then the next phase may be to
Is
come
that
back
Becky?
in, huh?
Is that Becky on the bike? Is that you, Beck?
That's not finished yet. The other picture was on the sidewalk, and it is very narrow.
Right. This is showing bringing the sidewalk back off the edge of the road, putting a landscape strip along there with street trees, adding bike lanes into it. And then also you'll see, and I'll show a little bit better, there's some, a little bit of pedestrian refuge area.
So like seating? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, right there. So, you know.
Yeah, you're going to need it if you're going that far.
No, you don't.
We don't control that.
Well, wait a minute.
Now, the landscaping we can, but we can't control the sidewalks.
Well, wait,
Let the lady finish.
well, it's a state
Let
road.
the lady finish.
It's a state road.
I thought we were landscaping all of Tampa Road.
Yeah, we got a grant.
It's not landscaped, and we're going to talk to DOT, we've talked to DOT about, allowing us to do additional landscaping in that area.
Oh, gee, our new girl could help us with
In
that.
the existing configuration, there's little landscaping, I won't say none, I might, next to none, on the sides. The islands are landscaped, which, we take care of, and DOT pays us to do that. But on each side of the road, in most places, there's very little right-of-way. The sidewalk, you do have a sidewalk on both sides, and so that sidewalk is almost on the right-of-way.
Yeah.
So anything beyond that, in this case, in this example, the property is actually owned by the East Lake Oaks Homeowners Association, or probably the Community Development District. But as just about everywhere else along the whole corridor, it's private property. But here again, these are ideas, these are possibilities. As Leah said, you're not going to see this,
Yeah, it's not going to be tomorrow. This is over a long, a long period of time. And just like Mr. Haddock was saying, this is on private property, so you're just going to be working with the property owners, sometimes to get an easement to put a wider sidewalk on it, because you're never going to feel safe walking along Tampa Road, even if you have to walk from, say, your office is here and there's a restaurant next door. If you have to get out and walk on that road, you're not going to feel safe, okay, until you have a sidewalk that's wide enough to get you back a little bit from the edge, and the landscaping, street trees that can make you shielded from that shielded from that traffic somewhat.
You do about it. I mean, if it's private property and
You
homeowners
can work with the property owners. It's not a process that happens very fast. When a parcel that right now may be vacant and no one's using it, they want to come in with a plan. They sit down with Marie. Marie says, I like your plan. However, I would like for you to give us an easement on your property for a sidewalk to go through so that we can get it back on the edge of the road. Okay, that's how it works.
Right, and the easement might be part of a landscape buffer that they already have to have, so they're really not physically giving up any usable
land.
property.
Yeah. But how do you put a bike lane in when, it's not like you can move the curb or
the
anything.
bike lane, no, actually you do a road diet. The lanes right now are 12 feet wide. It's in DOT's plans. Anytime they come back now and resurface a road, they're putting in bike lanes. That's one of their new mandates on their roadways. So that will happen when the next time it gets resurfaced.
Okay, so then they will.
Actually, on the eastern part, that's already done, isn't it?
Yeah.
When the eastern part was resurfaced earlier this year or last year?
Right, they put the bike lanes in. Yep. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, y'all haven't been out there riding your bike, you may not have noticed it.
Have you been riding?
I
do have a bike. I used to ride a lot more.
If I was to ride a bike out there, it'd be on the sidewalk and not on the road.
I'd be inside the community.
Yeah, really.
I'd go down by your house.
Yeah, right.
So this is an example, just a cross-section showing how the sidewalk would work with the landscaping adjacent to the street, your bike lane, and then a little pedestrian rest area.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, what town is that?
That is Temple Terrace.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of their new landscape
40th,
feature.
yeah, 40th Street.
That they implemented. So yeah, so it. Yeah, they got an easement. Okay, the next section is the commercial core area. The elements that we would look at implementing through this is some wayfinding signage to help people locate when they're trying to find a specific business or public facility. And I'll speak a little bit more about that in just a moment. And then looking at the complete street principles, which are providing for every mobility, the bicycling, walking, and cars equally, and then also providing shade from street trees, benches, all of the site furnishings that you would see. The first aspect of the commercial core that we'd look at, and this is an example where it's already working on Tampa Road, where you have new parcels that come in, instead of having a driveway cut for every single parcel, looking at the cross connections that can occur between those. That allows you to have the potential for better streetscape along there because you're not having to have a driveway break at every parcel. It also makes it feel safer for the pedestrian walking along there. The one thing I would look more so for development in the future is that the connectivity from the sidewalks back into the parcels is a little bit better of experience. I mean, there is some sidewalks that come in, but getting from one parcel to the other is not always a nice trip.
Before you leave that, if you could go back for just a second or two.
Sure.
It's not labeled, but I believe that on the right is Walgreens and on the left is AutoZone.
Yeah.
If you might not have figured out where this is.
Yes.
What page you on?
That's great being able to go back
But actually,
there.
this is existing today.
It is.
That's Forest Lakes Boulevard on the right, and this would be the...
Is that AutoZone or is it
What
still
page?
Sonic? That's still
Southwest
Sonic.
corner.
That's still
That's
Sonic.
Sonic, and then there's
Well, I
Dunkin'
updated it.
Donuts.
Yeah.
You know, for point of reference.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Great.
Yeah, I walk right through the parking lot.
We don't have many
I drive-
parcels
I drive this all the
in the
time.
city that can accommodate that. That just happened, that's just the way it happened whenever that one guy bought the whole thing and did that and then parceled it out. But we don't have any large areas like that I know of that could happen that way again.
Yeah, but you can get agreements from one business to the other. We see that all the time.
We just did that with what's the gas station, the Rally, and the other. I mean, those were two different property owners, and they did that. Same with the Dairy Queen and which one's it connected to? The Mike Subs. So I mean, those are different owners. So
Yeah.
they cross-connected those.
Yes.
No, I'm not
To be the
talking
same
about a
amount.
cross-connecting. I'm talking about
Having enough room behind
the
it.
road behind them.
Oh,
Oh, well,
No, the road behind it, not necessarily. It's really the cross connection between the parking areas.
That's for the next hotel.
Yeah.
Boom.
And then these are just some examples of wayfinding signage that different styles that you can implement. But what wayfinding can do also is provide a unifying element throughout the corridor so that you keep seeing it as you're going through.
read it, but it's cute.
It just reminds you that you're still in Oldsmar and, oh yeah, that's where I need to go. So both aspects. And this is just a cross-section showing how the commercial core could potentially be in the future. Again, this example is bringing the buildings up to the street frontage. This would be down the road a long ways. At this point, it may just be the streetscape that's implemented so that you have the wider sidewalks and you have the trees. But dealing with the human scale, it really does help to bring the building up to the street frontage. It'll slow down traffic on the road, and it also increases the visibility to those buildings so that businesses can actually get more noticed from the passerbys than they can just from the signs. An example of how that would be implemented, this is one section of the road. Currently now with the parking that's placed along the roadway, buildings are far back from the edge, pretty vast open landscape that you have. The next phase would be coming in, adding bike lanes to this, adding sidewalks that are wider, having street trees along the edge of the road, and then bringing the buildings closer up to the front so they have better visibility. And then way, way in the future, adding more buildings along the edge of the road to create development on each side. All right. Next section is the town center section. Like I mentioned before, this is the portion that we really see much more density, wanting to have a much more pedestrian-friendly environment, looking for the potential in the future for transit in this area, transit stops, and then also just providing everything that you would for the complete streets, all the different types of mobility options. We wanted to show an example, not that we're trying to get rid of any of the businesses that are located on this parcel, but how this parcel could possibly be redeveloped in the future. It exists now between the rail line on State Street and then obviously on Tampa Road. What could happen, you could bring buildings up to the front along Tampa Road on both sides of it, create access points off of Tampa Road for a right in, right out, and from the side streets to the parcel, access into the site with shared parking for all these facilities, office and retail, and then adding a parking garage in the back that could accommodate more of a bulk of parking, and also if there's a chance for a rail stop, it could accommodate parking for the rail stop at that location. So when we get transit. And this is another example of how the corridor can transform over time. Already this is a beautiful section, nicely landscaped, new buildings. Just by a small little change, it could be even better. And that's something that's very easy to do. It's just adding a little bit wider sidewalk, meandering in a little bit, and adding street trees. It just adds to what's already started as very beautiful landscaping along these buildings. And this is like 50 years down the road. Coming in, when there is more density, like I said, this is a town center. We want to have a denser area, possibility of cafes on the roadway associated with the buildings, increasing the landscaping, and
didn't McDonald's update by 50 years by now?
50 years, all the cars will be electric too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, is that 100 years?
There we go. Yeah, there's a 75-year range.
Well, none of us will be around for that one.
Aged. Yeah. The people haven't aged.
No, we need to find out what they're taking. And then the last segment is the east end. It's the gateway element that you would see from the Hillsborough side as you're entering. Currently, there's your McDonald's. It's going to soon get its facelift. So we'll have to update this picture, but that existing roadway, not much landscaping right now, not a very hospitable environment. There we go, popping in your gateway. This has a link back to your trail. This would have a pedestrian bridge that would connect over on Burbank. It would provide signage to the city, a real nice gateway feel. If any of you have been Orlando, where they have the overpass with Orlando on it. So it provides a really nice feeling of a sense of entry as you're coming in. So dual purpose here.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then additional landscape being added to the roadways to soften it and create a really nice atmosphere, telling you you've arrived.
Right.
So there we are.
I like it.
Thank you very much for that presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Maureen, do you have anything?
We're not voting on anything today, but I guess staff is looking for some kind of direction. Is that maybe correct? Or?
Yeah, we were looking for feedback on things you liked or didn't like, and we've gotten some of that already, but it might be, I mean, that's fine, you know, that's what we were asking for. But, you know, there might be other.
And in the pack, there is some, suggestions for architectural standards, color schemes, et cetera. So we just kind of threw it out there, and then we'll be bringing something back for you to.
Can I
The
ask you?
overpass is great. We need to get that quick.
Yeah. Can I ask you something? The Galleria. I hope we're not going to do the whole town like the Galleria. I mean, it looks like we're heading in that direction, and that is not old Florida. Old Florida is the South. It's green and white and porches and
We're not
it's
going to
the old
regulate
South.
how, architecture, it's got to be consistent or compatible.
Well, if they keep doing that, the whole town's going to look like that.
I don't think you're going to have to worry about it in our lifetime.
It'll be in our lifetime.
No.
I would think the biggest priority would be the streetscape like Tampa Road and Curlew Road. I mean, that seems the things that we can control the quickest.
Yes.
And
The rest of the development's going to have to come to us.
Yeah, we can do that now.
look the nicest, yeah.
And, we wanted to look along the corridor to see where there's opportunity to have shared parking. That'll occur as redevelopment occurs. And, we just don't know what's going to happen. But we have to kind of have potential sites for, maybe a public parking garage or, retail or whatever.
Right. And continue looking for opportunities to share parking lots and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's stuff that's going to basically fall in our lap sooner or later when developers come or somebody wants to, revitalize their building or whatever, renovate their building.
You're actually right.
That's how that will come. But what we can do now is try to look for the communities where we can maybe expand the sidewalk or, streetscape the median and stuff like that. Plus, we're getting money from DOT. I always thought the plan was to do all of Tampa Road.
I thought it was too. What happened?
Well, those parts that don't have trees or shrubs in them have always been that way. So what we've done is we've taken the areas that were landscaped when the road was built, and that's what's been maintained. All of the planting has been replaced at least once already, but that's something that, potentially could be implemented in the relatively near future.
During our lifetime.
I mean, what
You mean like from where you enter the city to St. Pete Drive? That needs some work. That needs some landscaping.
There's several locations like that. There was, that good example near Oakleaf Boulevard, where you've got a concrete median.
Yes.
And so those are things that could probably, like I said, be accomplished in the near future or the near term.
That'd be great.
I think that, in terms of the concept and the whole plan is, you have to have a vision, and as I was sitting here and also looking at the mission statement, the one word that I like is innovation. And that's what a lot of this is. It's innovation.
Yes.
But it's good to have words and pictures that you can also share with people as opposed to when you just sit down with them across the table and talk to them. Marie's been very successful at that, but this is getting us further down the road. Some things could be near term, and as Leah said, some of these things are 20 or 25 years away. But still, it's important to have the vision and the plan and the direction to get there and put the pieces together. So that's kind of, part of it. And I think also it's coming faster in some places than others, but the communities that are going to be more successful and prosper in the future are going to be paying very close attention to pedestrians and bicycles and multimodal transportation. And it wasn't mentioned in the presentation you just heard, but part of this, another piece of it is, bus stops, and encouraging the use of public transit.
Yes.
So, Oldsmar isn't a lot different than a whole lot of the rest of America for certainly my lifetime, which, is now in the decades. We built our cities and towns for the automobile.
Yes.
But it's not going to be that way even the next 10 years, in my opinion. Like I said,
right.
The cities that are going to be most successful, they're going to be paying attention to particularly pedestrian and bicycles and how to move people.
Right.
And that's a big part of this plan.
I agree with that.
Yes.
That's why we've got a good head start with our trails connected.
Yes.
I just want to say that it's great. I think this, again, continues to go in line with a lot of the forward thinking that we've done over the years. And I mean, we talk that it's potentially very far out. While I think there's things like East Lake Oaks with the CDD, you know, it's easy to have a conversation with them, you know, to potentially get some of that property. It's easy to have conversations with potentially Lockheed Martin to do something along the front. You know, it still protects their buffer and doesn't put anybody closer. I mean, there's a lot of things like that, but the one particular parcel that you mentioned is the one right out here that's that triangle piece that I got to tell you, if you have a plan and a vision and the right person comes along, I mean, that thing's a train wreck out there. Pardon the pun, with the train track. I mean, it's old, it's worn out, it's seen its time, but I mean, somebody could come in and put, maybe not that, but something very similar. And if you have a vision and a plan and kind of the different segments of it, I mean, I do see that being incorporated into there. I mean, and I think you have to have that, you know, same with the property, whichever direction, you know, over here that we're, you know, looking to do something on, you know, that's our property. So of course we're going to maybe comply, but I mean, I think it's great. I think this definitely, you know, you look, although West Chase is a planned PUD, you know, and they did that, but Linebaugh Avenue, not much different than Tampa Road when you talk about the speed of the cars that travel through there, and yet people are riding bikes and jogging and running and walking their kids, but it's softer. It's I'm not saying that a car around there is going to have any less chance of killing you if it runs off the road, but you feel safer. Right. And I mean, I think that's comforting to people. And, you know, you see it out on Clearwater Beach where they but they had a plan out there along Gulfview. And I remember south of the Circle when nobody used to really, it was cold, it was not welcoming. And now, you know, it meanders, the traffic has slowed, so people feel safer. They got pedestrian crossings. I mean, it's, as Bruce just mentioned, you know, we were a very car-oriented community and town and city, and you know, we're looking at alternatives. And I think that, again, if we're going to fit in and be a transit hub, which we're trying to do with all the rest of the, you know, Hillsborough and Pinellas County, we have to have a lot of these components, and it puts us in line with that. So I think it's great.
And another point there on talking about West Chase is if we make it more welcoming and make it more beautiful, more businesses are going to come.
Exactly.
All of the businesses in West Chase are bustling. Yeah. It's hard to find a parking space to go to those restaurants in West Chase.
And your point is exactly what's going on. Bay Arbor Place and all the developments that have happened, you know, the new restaurants, they're not coming here, you know, because it's some, you know, one-horse town. They're coming because of the thought and effort, you know, our how many hotel? I don't even know, fifth hotel. You know, I mean, there's reasons that they're coming here.
And you see, like in West Chase, where the community that lives behind all of that retail, they filter out. They don't get in their car. They walk out of the neighborhoods.
But it's totally surrounded by homes.
Well, and that was a planned development. I know, but it does work.
Yeah.
You really can't compare West Chase.
No, it's a different model. But
but it can create that environment.
Right.
You take the triangle down here, and that'd be fabulous. You've got about 5 different owners with that triangle. That will never happen.
It could if one person comes in and buys it all.
If one person come in and buy that, that's great.
But if you don't have the thought and the vision, then
But if one person buys it, they're going to present their plan to us and not our plan to them.
Well, if we go along this track and do exactly what you're talking about, if you have this kind of a plan and then you go into the architectural standards and you make it required, but you have to have some of this groundwork before you can even get to that.
Yeah, if we do that.
What are you implementing and on where?
But the architectural standards will handle every bit of that.
But I think you have different components as you move down Tampa Road. I think that's what they were trying to show. And that's what this is, the different segments, because they're different needs. East Lake Oaks is a more family oriented, and you do that. The town center is a little bit different. So you do have architectural standards, but they're unique to just that particular segment, and they're trying to define those segments. I agree with you, but you have to have this, and then you go to the architectural standards, I think, if that's kind of what I'm hearing.
I think the discussion was good. I'd like to move on. Thank you very much, Leah.
Thank you.
I want a work session on how we operate these stupid things, because I can't keep mine on and I'm lost.
They go off like every 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's saving the battery.
Yeah.
They're just
I can't
sleeping.
get it back on.
When it
I
dims,
quit.
you touch it and it comes back. Keep it
I'm
from.
not gonna mess with it.
Okay, City Clerk.
Nothing tonight.
Nothing tonight? We thank you. Thank you for being here.
Mayor, here's our
We're
chance.
missing,
This is your chance.
we're missing a debate. The debate started.
City Council, appoint representative to the Pinellas Planning Council.
I recommend the mayor.
Okay.
I recommend the mayor. I recommend the mayor stay on until
Yes.
his
Well,
term.
here's the deal. The NPO seat's going to Tarpon Springs in January. We lose that seat. I sent out both right now. The Pinellas Planning Council, I'm actually the chairman of right now, and in March, I will no longer be on council, but in April or May, the Pinellas Planning Council seat for Oldsmar will become the MPO seat, so we won't have anybody sitting on the board anyway.
I just say see it out.
Do you want to stay on it until you're
For
done?
continuity,
Oh, of course
because
you
I've
should.
sat in since I was on an executive committee to mold them both together, I think they're expecting me to stay on there in case.
Yes.
So then we can deal with it then.
Yes.
I think it would be more disruptive to change it.
Well, there's a learning curve to it. By the time you learn what's
You need a
going on,
motion
you're
for
pretty much
that,
over.
Over.
Tom?
Motion,
I move the mayor.
Yeah, I second it.
I'll third it.
worth it.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
That's a no-brainer.
Comments by council members. We'll start with the vice mayor.
That's you.
Because I've opened my mouth a lot tonight, I'll just have one thing. I've always talked to Lisa about it. We have a lot of garbage cans in this city that's backwards for these people.
I don't know what's wrong with it.
It's got arrows.
Don't
We have
listen.
one in our street that does it on purpose. So I think I would recommend that we don't pick them up. We have somebody stop by and tell them, you don't put it out there right.
It's not going to get
Code
picked up.
enforcement's going to come and give you a $50 fine.
Right.
How's that?
That's
No, we're not doing
right. That's
that.
exactly right.
You're right.
That's all, Mayor. Thank you all for who you are.
Me? Okay. I just wanted to say we had the historic walk and
I
on
missed that.
Saturday, I mean, we had a slew of people there. What do we have, 30 people? About 30, at least 30 people. And it was very successful. And,
I wanted to do that, and I forgot
did
all
too.
about it.
oh, it was so much fun. It was hot, but it was fun.
I heard nothing but positive feedback.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and we ended up at the Women's Club, and that was the last historical house, you know. And actually, we're going to have another one, the 27th.
Same kind of a deal?
Yeah, same time, yes. 10 o'clock in the morning,
27th of what, October?
this month, yes.
I'm not in town.
No, I'm not either.
Oh, well,
Well, if it's successful, maybe we'll do another.
what?
I
Let me sign it.
would like to do that, but yeah.
Well, we'll do it again. We'll be doing it. We'll be doing it. People want to see this stuff. And it's very, very interesting. And I have to tell you, I was impressed that you knew as much as you know. Gabby, I mean, she tells you who lived there, when they lived there, and all kinds of things. I mean, it was a really nice guided tour, and everybody was very interested. I think that's about it, because I want to go home and watch the debate.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Beavis.
I only have two things. Wanted to remind everybody, Danny mentioned it, Rocktoberfest Thursday and then Oktoberfest all weekend. Great time, great fun. Again, great. Unfortunate that it moved out of Oldsmar, but
That had to.
it had to. It was just getting too big. And I mean, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people love it. It's, I think, the largest in the, almost in the state of
The
Florida.
Downs does us a great service by advertising the city of Oldsmar.
Well,
you know,
it's
so.
still Oldsmar.
It's still Oldsmar, yeah.
It's still Oldsmar.
The only other question I have, and it kind of we touched on it, is the landscaping from right there at Curlew and Tampa Road. There's that one island that's just. Is there one reason why that one's not just sitting there dirt? It's been that way for a while. I don't know.
Isn't that the one she proposed putting?
We've been redoing the Curly Road landscaping.
Yeah, it looked like most of it was
But
done. And then
I'll check on that. I don't know why.
It's not the island. It's not the island. It's the, you know, it's as you make the left. There's a, I think it's a mast arm right there. I see it every day, so I'm like, it's just nothing but raw dirt.
Okay.
I thought maybe the DOT was doing something or putting a light in, or they wouldn't certainly do anything to help us. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Norris.
I actually had three things, but I'm only going to talk about one of them because I want to go home and watch the debate too. I just wanted to tell Julie Foster. Okay, Julie Foster, for those of you that don't know, is our sustainability coordinator. Was, and she has done so much for the city of Oldsmar, heading up the green team. And I can tell everybody how hard she worked, how enthusiastic she worked, how many wonderful things she did to this city. She has got another opportunity with the city of Melbourne, but everybody in Oldsmar owes a thanks and a debt to her because of all her hard work, and we'll keep it going. But she really was wonderful at what she did, and now the city of Melbourne is a better opportunity for her, and she really got us started and everything. So congratulations to her, but you will be missed, Julie.
Who's going to take over for her?
We don't know yet.
We are going to hire
Well,
someone?
for the time being, her duties are kind of split among 2 or 3 other people just for the present time.
Oh, okay.
And Melbourne's probably going to get sick of hearing Oldsmar, that's for sure. Well, what we did in Oldsmar.
Yeah, what we did in Oldsmar. So we love you, and we will miss you, Julie.
What is this Oldsmar you speak of?
So the other 2 things I'll go over next time, which actually next time is election night. We have a city council meeting on the election of the president and vice president. Right?
Among other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Among others, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I've got only 3 things. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'm not in town next Friday. Can you fill in for a We Mean Business visit? Thank you very much. Lisa, can you come up, please? I just have 2 quick questions. First question is, no. I have people asking me, and I don't remember what the answer was, is this the week where the people can put their garbage cans upside down to get them picked up?
Yep,
Yes.
I did mine today.
Okay, so if my garbage day was today, they could have done it today, and then they
It
could do
would
it
on
Friday?
your recycle day.
It's on the recycle day?
On your
Okay.
recycle day, you put it upside down next to your recycle cart.
Okay, and then to follow it up, if I'm looking for the bigger garbage can, does that come Friday too?
Actually, those are arriving in the city tomorrow, and they will start delivering some of them tomorrow afternoon, and the remainder will be delivered on Thursday.
Okay.
So do we let them know we want the bigger one?
I let them know I wanted a bigger
I
one.
did too. I call Christine.
Yeah.
So I just leave the one I've got outside for in front of the driveway or something?
Yeah, just
Okay.
leave it outside and they'll swap it out. And I mean, if you need to call Christine at 813-749-1136, and she can add you to the list. We have enough for all the people who are already on the list, so I don't know how many more additions, so there might be a little bit of a delay if you're adding later, but yeah, they should start on the 17th.
Okay, thank you. And then
Say 11:36?
Yes.
749-1136. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to.
last question, when are we drinking the water?
Yes. Yes. What happened?
Look at her,
What happened?
What?
You have been.
Are you serious?
We have been? Woohoo!
I
The
knew it,
blend,
yeah.
the 50% blend?
We're blending right now
Y'all didn't know that?
with Pinellas County Water. We have, as we discussed before, we wanted to gradually ease into it. We have been for about a week and a half now.
Oh, wow.
You know, we're increasing our percentage later this week, and probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll be at 100% RO water. But we have been.
Importantly, what he wants to know is when we're going to dedicate that thing before he gets off council.
Yeah, we
I
gotta do
I would
that.
more want to drink the water.
It'll be before he's off council.
I hope so.
But
We're
yeah,
like a year behind.
Oh, wow.
you've been.
You've been blending it.
Congratulations, that's great.
Yay.
Yeah.
You've been blending it for about 3 or 4 weeks now?
Actually, about a week and a half.
Yeah.
I knew we were blending, but I didn't know we were distributing.
Yes, yeah, we're distributing the blended water. You know, so.
So everything's no problems, nothing unforeseen?
Well,
or?
nothing out of the normal. I mean, whenever you're starting up any kind of facility, you always run into hiccups and controls don't work exactly as originally planned, and you're fine tuning. And we'll probably be doing that on and off for the next year even. Sure. We'll find situations that'll come up 6 months from now that we haven't run into before, and then the controls don't quite work right, and we have to go in and have them adjusted. And but that all falls under the warranty period. So, you know, we'll be able to get that addressed. And
That's wonderful.
that's just the way it goes at startup.
Great job. That's all I've got. I need a motion for the tentative agenda.
moved.
Do I have a second? I got a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Over.
We're finished. Enjoy the debate.